be here. That's the remit I was given, and this follows on from the infrastructure discussion. Thank you. And what I want to really talk about is in my role of analytics lead for Hewlett-Packard, I want to talk around what we do with the data and what the value of that is for customers and customers like yourself. And that's my role and how to contact me if you need to. So let's start talking about what big data is. And big data is important because what it's actually doing is allowing us to see things that we couldn't see before. It's allowing us to look for patterns that we couldn't necessarily see before. And big data means, to you, it's one of your most strategic assets that you have. You need to be able to monetize it, personalize it, monitor it, meter it, etc. But it's also your greatest risk because transparency, regulation, compliance and control and security are all related to big data too. So in essence, it's a balanced scorecard. And that is that you need to be able to drive up the assets and look at how, by doing the things on the left, these become new assets for your business because you're approaching big data from the right perspective. And in doing so, you're driving down your liabilities because you can see things that you couldn't see before. And you can do things that you couldn't do before. So in essence, data is going to change how your organization operates. Why? It's because your customers are going to demand it. So in HP, we see that we are constantly being asked to help our customers do two simple things. One is become more agile, and two, to become more data-driven. And this is what HP does, rather than our org chart, hideously complicated. Our 300,000 people are organized in this way, and that is, we're all focused on the industry outcomes on the left-hand side, what we need to do for our customers. And we've got some industry solutions around airports and airlines, etc., on the left-hand side. But then this house is we've got workplace and mobility, and then we've got analytics and data management, we've got security around the outside, and we've got process things happening in the middle, and we've got applications, and we deliver the stuff on the cloud and on the infrastructure that Paul's just gone through. But I really want to focus on a bit in the middle, and there's not a pointer on here, around analytics and data management in the top of the house. Because this is where the data is really happening. And hence why, if we want to be data-driven and we start looking at the data assets, we should become more agile. What's that mean? That means that data-driven and agile organization will have a number of things happening for it. It will enable a workforce to be innovative. So how many people working in an airport? Enabling those workers to have the right information at the right time is sort of duty-bound. Those people that support an airline, again, get the right information to the right person at the right time. It's sort of what we should be doing in an enterprise. And then not giving information by the bucket load to the individual, but giving the insight for them to make better decision. Actionable insight. Then they can say, right, I need to do this. I need to reroute this plane. I need to reroute this baggage. But also looking at things like an open environment. So adopting big data, you should be looking at this from the panacea of all the opportunities that are out there and not restricted to certain technologies. You should be running an open environment, embracing all of the innovation around big data and ingesting this stuff in, consuming it as you want to and discarding the stuff you don't. That's good stuff. And also things like data scientists. Data scientists are really smart people. I have 84 data scientists working for me in the region that just do phenomenal things. Really look at what the next best action is in the routing of an airline. So I've got to divert this plane. who is going to be affected on that plane when it's being diverted, and what's the impact of that on their loyalty status, on their dissatisfaction scoring. Real-time analytics supporting decisions with a number of airlines. Truly embracing the world of what we can do with smart algorithms. So what does an airport look like? Well, actually, I've tried to simplify it in this diagram. And that is, if you look at through the centre, this is what happens with a passenger through an airport. This is what happens from landside to airside, to shop, to lounge, to gate, to flight, and then the same when they land. But if you notice, there's synergy between an airport and an airline. So I fly into Charles de Gaulle, and I lose my bag. Who do I blame? Do I blame Air France for taking me there, or do I blame Charles de Gaulle? I blame the airline. So the responsibility and the synergy between airport and airline are becoming blurred. So if you start looking at the data being the unifier, start looking at the data following the passenger, rather than here's my boundary of data and I'm going to protect it. Look at all of the data I need to get to support my customer. That must be liberating for your organisation. So here's the thing. If I start listening to my customer and I say, these are the quotes that my customer wants. I want to be kept informed. I want to shop. I don't want to shop. I want my profile to benefit me. All the way through, and you start saying, I've got to share my data more importantly. And if I do that, what's going to happen to my net promoter score? What's going to happen to my satisfaction levels? That's a simple diagram. What it looks like in reality is quite complicated. So we tried to draw this up on a piece of paper. It's 1 metre by 6 metre as a piece of paper rolling through a screen. And what's happening, it's suddenly speeding up, but actually happening, this is all to curbside. And then I've got my air side, and all of this data exchange between my various parties. And I haven't even got on the plane yet. And now I get on my plane, and all of this data's uploaded, and then all of that data's shipped across. Before I land, I know what's happening, what's doing, and then the reverse happens in terms of looking after my customer. Data is your most important asset for you to look at. Yes, it has to be driven on an infrastructure that's reliable. Instantly on, instantly available data so you can make better decisions. Because what you have is time slicing in an airport and an airline. You've got to be able to slice all of these different things and make decisions in real time and understand the impact of doing so. The more data you have, the more accurate you can understand and predict the outcome, and the more disruptive less disruptive you are, positively less disruptive. So that's a sort of a long picture of that. In simple terms, what HP does is look at all of your data. We do not care whether your data is on a mobile phone, or you're logging in through an iPad or an iPhone, or you are a traditional seasoned traveller and you present your ticket in. We don't care where that data is coming from and what format it is. We believe you should be able to get data and insights from that data. So we have the technology to be able to do all of that across all of these different data points, whether it's social media, whether it's video, whether it's call center, whether it's your considerable enterprise data you have. And we should be able to analyze that and give me the insight for my next best action. And that's what we do in our analytics group, is we determine what your next best action is, dependent upon the analysis that you're trying to do. If I need to reroute a plane because I had the pleasure of talking to an airline in the morning of the last industrial action in air traffic control in France. And I was in the boardroom of an airline that remained on, and I say fair play to them to still keeping the meeting with me. But seeing behind the glass wall all of the frantic activity behind what's happening. And it's all about data and understanding the implications of making a decision about let's cancel that flight now, because the financial implications of me taking that flight and then having to reroute that flight afterwards is significant. But let's not just talk about the money. Let's follow the passenger, and let's follow all of the data elements associated with that passenger and how we can improve our customer service. Because, like Paul said, if my outage goes down, if my network goes down, I don't have communications. If your passenger leaves, you don't have a business. So it's all about increasing customer satisfaction. And my argument is analyze and understand what that looks like, and then you can do better analysis. So in essence, a couple of examples. We call this Smart Traveller. We call it Smart Airport. And we believe in empowerment, so we can understand proximity of where that person is in an airport and service them with the right information over the ubiquitous network which has just been described. Integrated, as we will hear shortly, by services, but we need to be able to understand the transient movement of the person through an airport is actually pretty important, especially when we start talking about how we monetize that. Being able to put a person in front of a really important advert for a very important perfume, but that is a really good way of giving marketing insight to a person, to a marketeer, saying, I can place a person in front of your advert and I know who it is. Not many industries can do that. And also crowd control. Crowd control in a positive way. You want to be able to get your passengers to linger when they can spend money, but not linger when it's not effective. So getting them through security, but actually getting them to be the right place at the right time. This is really important. Visual analytics, nowhere near as quality as the NATS example, but a simplification of actually passenger movement through an airport using mobile communication to understand that is. Understanding where you've got a potential delay in my security, understanding how to move them through security, bring on more desks, more people, etc. So that's what we do, is actually give the insight for you to be able to operate your airport more effectively. And I thank you for your time, and I look forward to the questions shortly. So.